Welcome to this episode of YouTube. We're experiencing spring in Minnesota, and what that means is we have some days when it's warm and melting. We've had some cool nights, and the pond has been melting. The water has been melting, and it's freezing at night, so we've got a layer of ice over the pond, and then as it gets warm during the day, that melts, and of course, wolves are curious, and here's Bolts checking out an opening in the pond and not being quite so coordinated and actually getting a little bit wet and falling in. So that's been kind of going on. And as we said, the spring melt has been a little slow. It started very quickly. We had some 50 and 60 degree days and seasonably warm, and then it cooled off. And we're in this kind of pattern. I think we're one of the few places in the state of Minnesota that has snowpack, and we're getting a bit more here over the weekend. So the snow is crusty and not a lot of insulating value on the snow. And so we're trying to continue to keep bedding the wolves, and we are seeing, again, some use of the dens a little bit more, and that's mainly because the snow has lost its insulating value. It's just crusty, and yet the spring fever has arrived. Wolves get pretty excited and want to race around, and especially if they've gotten wet, to try to do what they can to kind of dry themselves off and get rid of the moisture. So that's Bulls rolling around, doing a face wipe, and then pretty excited, taking a race down to the backside of the pen. Of course, that draws the interest of the other pack members to see what he's so excited about, and usually ends up with some kind of a chase situation where multiple wolves chasing each other. So definitely a sign of spring. Spring has sprung, and I think we're all sick of snow, and even the wolves have some pattern where they're kind of sick of it. So that's kind of what has been going on. We are in the process of wrapping up the building project. Then we'll be hoping that the frost goes out so we can put some pipes in the ground and get things ready for the wolves to resume to normal life and Grizzr to come back out of the east side. And hopefully Grizzr's camera gets hooked back up. But as I said, the exhibit pack's really been doing quite well. They don't really have too much issues with the construction. Of course, after you fall through the ice, you got to groom yourself, and so we see Denali and Bolts here. After Bolts fell through and did his chase around the enclosure, he went back down to the pond and fished out a couple of chunks of ice, and of course, that's too much for Denali to watch. He's got to participate, so both of them were chest deep in cold water, and as we come into the evenings when we have 9 or 10 degrees, not a good situation. So we see the sun is out and they're drying, and we're putting down cover hay and making sure that they stay relatively dry and relatively warm. So as I was saying, the projects for the Working for Wolves crew that's coming up on April 15th, we have a Working for Wolves weekend. We are going to be putting up kennel fencing. We're going to try to get the kennel kind of wrapped up and get the floor treated and make sure everything is good for pups arriving. We don't know when the pups will arrive. Again, it's always up to the whelping period. We have a rough idea that we anticipate seeing something around maybe early May. Usually, as we said, we pick up the pups at about 12 days of age, and that period of time allows us to critically bond with them during the neonate stage when they're typically have some fear avoidance behavior. So we want to make sure that we get the pups early enough so that they can maintain not just a relationship to the site, but a relationship to the adult wolves that they're going to meet. So they don't physically go in with the adult wolves until they're about 3 months of age, roughly about 30 pounds. But they do have face-to-face contact with them. So the Working for Wolves crew, we're going to be putting up those fence panels to make sure that the puppies are safe and they don't have an opportunity to put a toe or a nose through. They can have face-to-face greetings with the adult wolves, but through some hardware cloth that protects the pups. So lots of projects going on, and certainly cleaning up some of this cover hay is going to be important as well. And so the pack is active. We will be trying to make sure that we get the pack holding area fixed so that we can get the exhibit pack off display for us to be able to do some work. Right now, we have nowhere to put the exhibit pack if we have to do some work. So that's been a little bit of a challenge, but certainly we hope for warmer weather and hope they'll happen quickly. Well, and then we come to 3 days after that previous footage, and we're back to snow. So spring weather here has that tendency to be warm. We get a hope of thawing and then go back into some snowfall. So the snow looks very visually appealing, and we had a great exhibit from the standpoint of the wolves interacting. Snow always, again, gets them excited, and certainly wet snow gets them even more excited because there's a lot of dripping. And certainly as the snow forms, we have rodents who are under the snow cover that are utilizing that cover of fresh snow to be able to move around a wolf exhibit pretty freely. What happens is the wolves get pretty excited and will roll in that fresh snow. And there's Aiden doing a little bit of scent rolling. And then Luna doing a little bit of scent rolling as well. So we know that regardless of warm weather or cold weather, they seem to enjoy having the opportunity to kind of roll around and just feel good. And that's kind of what spring does for us here. So we are in the middle of doing the birthday webinars. We had Boltz's birthday webinar on March 17th, and Luna's birthday webinar is tonight, actually in about 30 minutes here. So just want to give you a little bit of idea of what a webinar entails. Typically, we're trying to load up the camera so people get some previews of the wolves who are active. Anytime we start setting up at the windows, that gets the wolves excited and stimulated, and we'll be able to watch from the windows as wolves interact. And then typically I do some kind of stimuli in the enclosure. This was Boltz's birthday, so I'm trying to feed Boltz some birthday chicken wings. Chicken wings were his favorite, so I was trying to, we made him a chicken wing burger cake, and that's under the bucket. And I'm trying to kind of protect it. I'm trying to give Boltz some, but I'm trying to protect it because Denali's showing some interest in Luna, and Boltz wasn't getting much of his birthday cake. So typically on a webinar, when we go live on a webinar, we have a lot of prep work involved, and like I said, we broadcast right from the enclosure. So I have a mic on in the enclosure, and I'm trying to interpret behavior. It's always a challenge because the wolves are usually interested in the stimuli that I'm providing. And as I said, this was Boltz's birthday webinar, and so Boltz is still waiting to get some of his birthday cake. So he ran up the hill. I gave out some chickens to distract Luna and Denali, and basically Luna lost interest and wanted Boltz's birthday cake, and that left Boltz to go take off with one of Luna's chickens. And then Denali got pretty excited, jumping on me and kind of grabbing. Food possession is one of those things that makes it a little bit challenging when we're trying to manage the wolves. And it is one of those things that we have to respect. Wolves have a right to food possession. That means that they have the right to guard and possess food that's within about a foot of their face. And so we always try to be mindful of that. I'm not going to go take food out of their mouths. And they're pretty creative. They are problem solvers, there's no doubt. And Denali, having the opportunity to take advantage of me while I'm distracted, is going to put his paw through there, flip the bucket, and be able to get Boltz's entire birthday cake and take off with it up the hill. So that was Boltz's birthday. So like I said, we've got Luna's birthday coming up. Grizzer's birthday is May 5th. Aiden and Denali is April 27th. So we'll continue to do these webinars and, again, give the opportunity for people to experience day-to-day management of wolves for us, interacting with them in a social format. So here, like I said, Grizzer is alert always to the construction, getting a little frustrated with being in the back, wants to clearly come into the front. Got excited with the snow that came down and did a couple of Grizzer 500s around the east side enclosure. This is the east side retirement enclosure. So you can see a lot of snow is impacted in that enclosure. And so much snow, we lost a white pine branch. And the white pine especially are very, very long, extended branches. And when they get the weight of this wet snow, they can crack off, especially if the trees have some kind of other issue. And so that's sitting on Grizzer's Den right now. That'll be a project for Working for Wolves to help saw that up and get that out of there. If weather holds, we'll probably even have a bonfire that night, burning some straw and some tree limbs. So that's it for this week's webinar. We want to also announce that we are having an online auction, fundraiser for wolf care. This is to help finalize this building project, get things like new kennel panels, get the floor sealed, the new concrete floor and the new addition sealed for the pups, to get all of those things done and ready. So we've got quite a bit of work yet to do before the pups come here, once the contractors leave on site, to get it customized for our wolves. And so we're doing an online auction, again, a fundraiser. If you want to check it out, you can go to biddingowl.com and just search the International Wolf Center, and you will see our auction. It goes live on Monday, March 28th, and ends on Thursday, April 7th. So lots of photographs, some what's for dinner lodging packages, and lots of stuff. So check it out, and we'll see you next week.